Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. Glad to be back with you. We're going to continue reading in our book, On the Banks of Plum Creek by Laura Ingalls Wilder. We're already on the 30th chapter. Yesterday was such a happy day. Pa had finally got home from working back east, and he woke up the girls by dropping an armload of wood on the floor, which made a loud clatter. So he said when they got ready, they were headed to town. He hadn't brought gifts, but he'd brought money. Going to town. How they hurried and scurried then. They dressed in their winter best, bundled up in coats and shawls. Now, shawls are like a piece of cloth that goes over your shoulders and you wrap up in instead of a coat, and climbed into the wagon. The sun shone bright and the frosty air nipped their noses. Sleet sparkled on the frozen hard ground. Pa was on the wagon seat with Ma and Carrie snug beside him. Laura and Mary wrapped their shawls around each other and snuggled together in a blanket in the bottom of the wagon. Jack sat on the doorstep and watched them go. He knew they would come back soon. Even Sam and David seemed to know that everything was all right now that Pa was home again. They trotted gaily till Pa said, "Whoa," and hitched them to the hitching post in front of Mr. Fitch's store. Hitching post would be like a fence out of wood. And at the top, you could tie your horses there so they wouldn't go wandering off. You know, they weren't driving cars. First, Pa paid Mr. Fitch part of the money he owed Mr. Fitch for the boards that built the house. Then he paid for the flour and sugar that Mr. Nelson had brought to Ma while Pa was gone. Next, Pa counted the money that was left, and he and Ma bought Mary's shoes. The shoes were so new and shining on Mary's feet that Laura felt it was not fair that Mary was the oldest. Mary's old shoes would always fit Laura, and Laura would never have new shoes. Then Ma said, now a dress for Laura. Laura hurried to Ma at the counter. Mr. Fitch was taking down bolts of beautiful woolen cloth. The winter before, Ma had let out every tuck and seam in Laura's winter dress to make it bigger. This winter, it was very short, and there were holes in the sleeves where Laura's elbows had gone through them because they were so tight. Ma had patched them neatly, and the patches did not show, but in that dress, Laura always felt skimpy and patched. Still, she had not dreamed of a whole new dress. "What do you think of this golden brown flannel, Laura?" Ma asked. Laura could not speak. Mr. Fitch said, "I guarantee it will wear well." That means it will last good and long. Ma laid some narrow red braid across the golden brown, saying, "I think 3 rows of this braid around the neckband and the cuffs and the wristband. What do you think, Laura? Would that be pretty?" "Oh, yes, Ma," Laura said. She looked up, and her eyes and Pa's bright blue eyes danced together. "Get it, Carolyn," said Pa. Mr. Fitch measured off the beautiful golden brown flannel and the red braid. Then Mary must have a new dress, but she did not like anything there. So they all crossed the street to Mr. Olson's store. There they found a dark blue flannel and narrow gilt braid, which was just what Mary wanted. Gilt looked like gold. Mary and Laura were admiring it while Mr. Olson measured. When Nellie Olson came in, she was wearing a little fur shoulder cape. "Hello," she said, and then she sniffed at the blue flannel. She said it was all right for country folk. Then she turned to show off her fur and said, See what I got? They looked at it. Nellie said, "Don't you wish you had a fur cape, Laura?" "But your pa couldn't buy one. Your pa's not a storekeeper." Laura dared not slap Nellie. She was so angry she couldn't even speak. She did turn back, and Nellie went away laughing. Ma was buying warm cloth to make a cloak for Carrie. Pa was buying navy beans, those are white beans, and flour and cornmeal and salt and sugar and tea. Then he must get a kerosene can filled and stop at the post office. It was afternoon and growing colder before they left town, so Pa hurried Sam and David, and they trotted swiftly all the way home. After the dinner dishes were washed and put away, Ma opened the bundles, and they all enjoyed looking their fill at the pretty dress goods. "I'll make your dresses as quickly as I can, girls," said Ma, "because now that Pa's home, we'll be going to Sunday school again." "Where's that great callus you got for yourself, Carolyn?" Pa asked her. Ma flushed pink, and her head bowed while Pa looked at her. "You mean to say you didn't get it?" he said. Ma flashed at him. "What about the new overcoat for yourself, Charles?" Pa looked uncomfortable. "I know, Carolyn," he said. "But there won't be any crops next year with those grasshopper eggs. You know they're going to hatch, and it's a long time till I can get some work clear to next harvest. My old coat is good enough." "That's just what I thought," said Ma, smiling at him. After supper that night, when night came and the lamp light was brought out, Pa took his fiddle out of the box and tuned it lovingly. "I have missed this," he said, looking around them all. Then he began to play. He played, "When Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah." He played, "The sweet little girl, the pretty little girl, the girl I left behind me." He played and sang, "My old Kentucky home," and "Swanee River, way on beyond the Swanee River." And then he played, and they all sang with him, "Mid pleasures and palaces though we may roam, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home." Oh, what a lovely day they had. Pa was home. They went to town together. They're getting some new things, some things they need. And to end it all up, Pa brings out his fiddle. Beautiful evening. Well, I hope you're having a beautiful evening, or maybe you're watching this in the morning. I hope you're going to have a wonderful day then. It's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I want to pray blessings on you and yours, in your house and out of your house, in the day and the night. And whatever you do, keep dreaming. Remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, my channel is growing, and the reason it's growing is because people are subscribing to it. They're also sharing it, and I'm so happy. I almost have 300 subscribers. I think when I get 300 or 350, I'm going to do something special. So help me get there. After you subscribe, a notification bell will come up. Make sure and poke that, and then you'll get a notification every time I do a video. Pretty well, I do 2 stories a day. And then, depending on what's going on in my life, or here on the homestead in general, I post something about that too. All right, well, I'll be reading to you again tomorrow. Good night. God bless.